Welcome back to Papa Junk Shop. Well, it's a cold day. Got a few snowflakes flying. Gonna work on this Champion inverter generator project for charging batteries. If you've seen the first video, you know I got this butchered up Champion 2800 watt inverter, which I'm trying to convert to use to charge my 48 volt lithium iron phosphate batteries in case of emergency. And there's a lot of missing parts, and I've been experimenting with trying to get this to work with a regular solar controller. Been experimenting with some transformers and just haven't been able to come up with something that I'm happy with. So I finally bit the bullet and I ordered a charge controller that'll handle up to 500 volts. So this runs, now I'm thinking between 200 and 350 volts, you know, depending on the RPM. That, and the RPM was controlled with the original inverter, which is, you know, no good and not going to be used. So I got to come up with a way to control the throttle too. So I just been doing some on and off experimenting, researching, and you can find the fan that went on here, but the housing and stuff, they got part numbers for it, but you don't seem to be able to get them. So I decided to, as usual, and of course me being a cheapie, decided to come up with my own solution. So I'll show you that in a minute. And I also got to come up with a way to change this three-phase AC to DC. So this is what I've been using for my other experiments. So it's a 50 amp 1000 PIV three-phase to DC and rectifier, and I got a pretty good heat sink for it. So I'm going to wind up mounting that right here where the inverter used to sit. So I'm making a bracket for that, and then I got to have some capacitors, and I wanted to use an inductor for the filtering. 2 capacitors on an inductor like we used to use for the old high voltage power supplies and tube stuff, but this is going to handle like 20 amps or so. So finding a choke that would work seemed to be a problem. So I thought, this is the old inverter, so I'm thinking, wonder if these would work, one of these. So this thing is potted. I don't know what the stuff is, but it doesn't cooperate. But I snuck it in the house and warmed it up in the oven, and I was able to get it warm enough that I could finally chisel some of it out. So I got one of these out, and it's double wound with some, boy, I don't know, might be number 14, 16, I don't know, I didn't measure it, but it's fairly heavy wire anyway. So I mean, it handled all the current this thing could make to begin with, so it should be adequate. Hopefully that's going to work. So that's where I am with that. I'll put you on the tripod and I'll show you what I come up with for the solution for the fan. Okay, got you set up. So I went up in my motor collection and blower collection looking for a fan that we could use on here. I believe the original one is the same fan that they used to cool the engine, only it's turned around backwards with some kind of a spacer. And you can buy that, but the other parts are the problem. So I found this one. I think it's out of a air conditioner or dehumidifier or something. So I want to use this squirrel cage. So I took this off, and it's the perfect size for that. I think it's a little bit thicker, but that's all right because I got to make my own housing. So I got to figure out a way to mount this on there. So I thought, well, we got a machine surface here, so that should run true. So if I can come up with a way to mount a shaft there, should be good. So I found a steel pulley and turned the one lip down to the size that fits in there. Nice snug fit. And then there's 2 threaded holes that were already here. And I'm thinking maybe they were to mount that spacer. I don't know. But anyways, they're there, so I'm using them. So I got them laid out on there. So that'll attach this to that. So now I got to come up with a shaft. And this motor originally had a snap ring right here, and then a washer, and then the fan, and there's a flat spot on the shaft, another washer, and then a nut, and that's what held it in place. So I thought I just got to copy that. So I found a piece of shaft that fits my pulley hole, and I machined it on the lathe in the mill, flat spot, threaded, groove for the snap ring, and the pulley has a set screw, so I made a flat spot with a shoulder here and a shoulder here. In other words, I just run a small mill this way, the width of the set screw, so that it can't move either direction in case it worked loose. And I also drilled and tapped a hole here for a screw to keep it from coming out. So I don't think it's going to go anywhere. So how that works is this goes in there. Of course, none of this would be necessary if you bought one that was not cannibalized, but you know me. Okay, so that's going there, and then these go here. Nope, that's the wrong screw. That was one I used for the puller to pull this off. So that goes there with those two. You got a washer. That. Another washer. And a nut. Okay, so now I gotta have my housing. So a lot of you know I like working with sheet metal. So this is what I come up with. And rivets. So the original cover is held on with 4 screws, 2 there, 2 there. Those are right here. And this fits right on there, just like that. And the outlet's right here. I made it so it just happened to be, but it just comes even with this one. I don't have the back cover for this, so I'm going to have to create my own, I guess. So that's where I'm at so far. So when my controller gets here, we're going to do some experimenting before I make a final thing. You know, we're going to try it out and see if it's going to work. And if it doesn't work, if nothing else, I've got a really good spare solar charge controller, because I don't have any spares right now. They're all being used, so not a total waste. So we'll see you when we get some more stuff to work with. Well, the controller came, but I'm going to try to use with the inverter generator remains. So this is supposed to be able to take up to a 500 volt input. Of course, you don't want to get to the 500 volts because that's maximum. So seems pretty hefty. So there we are. She's a PowMr. That's how I say it. I don't know if that's right or not. I know a lot of guys don't like this stuff, but I've had really good luck with it. I think the guys that don't have good luck with it don't do things correctly. Just my opinion. So well, I've been looking through the manual, and the settings look like they might be pretty useful for my application. We got a maximum charging current, so we can set the charging current. Of course, you can pick your battery type. I'll be using the user function, I'm sure. Float charge voltage, battery equalization, which we won't be using. This thing will do some data recording, I guess, just within itself. Not something you can look at Bluetooth or computer-wise. So we got a time setting, year, month, day, hour, minute, and the information on the display, be the version number, PV voltage, PV current, PV temperature. That must be the temperature of the unit. PV voltage standby and charging. Okay, so they got a standby and a charging. There's quite a bit of information available. So let's see what it looks like in there where the connections are gonna be. You got a screw on each side. I like the fact it's got a nice all metal case. Really nice and simple in there. We got some nice hefty battery connections. A couple solar connections right here. Pretty good size opening on the solar too. And there's a couple of fans down in there. So, looking all right so far. Now guys, I did some experimenting with running a generator. Not the one I'm going to use, but a different one, because I don't have the carburetor right now. The guy's trying to work me out of electronic control for it. I'm trying to And something went wrong. I think the battery died and I didn't hear the beep, so I didn't get it recorded. But this is a shot of the screen when the thing is asleep, the charge controller. And I thought maybe something you might be interested in. I got it hooked on a power supply. It uses, what, 63 milliamp in the sleep mode? So I think it's pretty decent. And from my experimenting, I think I'm going to like this thing real well. Now, been slowly getting things put back together. I made up a board with my choke and my capacitors on it. Just a piece of plexiglass with some through connectors. Rectifiers on this heat sink, which is mounted there, and the choke's on the back side too, and it's going right where the original inverter went. Set straight. Now, if I can do it one-handed here. That's right there like that. Sorry about that. Videography there, not very good. And then these screw on each side here. One here, one down there. That way, when it's pulling air in, just like the original inverter was, this should stay cool. I mean, I didn't feel any warmth when I was playing with it before. Of course, I didn't have a big load on it either, so. Get my car back, we'll be able to try it. Okay, got her temporarily together enough, still can't control the throttle. Just got the idle stop adjusted up a little bit, but trying her out. And let's see, what are we making now? 30 amps. See if I can hold the camera and run this screen. So 1.64 kilowatts. So the 0.6 amps comes from the generator, I guess. 228 volts. So it looks like it's going to work. I did have a helper here for a minute, and I bumped the throttle up by hand to max, and it went up to 70 amps. But, you know, not going to run it that way, but it did work. So I think I got it set for 40 amps limit. So it's been slowly creeping up, so see how she does here. Okay, it's been a few minutes. It's up to 39.5. I got it set for a max of 40. 12 amps coming from the generator, and we're about 190 volts roughly. So if I go here, this is where I can change it. I'll bump it up to 50. It's going up a little. I can hear the generator working because I haven't given it any more throttle. We'll give it a few minutes and see how it does. Been running for about 20 minutes now. Nothing seems to be overheating on the engine. Up to 40 running right now without being able to control the throttle. I'm guessing between 40 and 50 amps is about where that thing is going to be happy. It's only a, what, 2800 watt one to start with. So net might be surged, I'm not sure. It might not be running lots, but nothing seems to be overheating anywhere with any of this. This is all temporary. Now, this part's not temporary. I got number 2 cable going into it. 2 watt because of the length goes over here to my bus bar. So, making progress. I don't know, might make this a video because it's going to be a while before I get some of this other stuff done. So, if you enjoyed her, give me the thumbs up, haven't subscribed, want to see more of this kind of foolishness, subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you next time.